Okay, Dan, so we've finished elements A, B and C. It's been a few hours now. You're obviously getting quite tired. It's quite nice to have a little sit down and go through element D, which is a quick chat about the road really, okay, and just sort of getting you prepared for that. So number one is the use of visibility aids. So the fact that you need to be clearly visible to other road users at all times, okay. If other motorists can't see you, they can't avoid you, okay, so obviously that would not be particularly safe, okay. Again, I said it earlier on, I'd love to blame all the car drivers out there. We do need to play our part in making sure that we're nice and visible. So, any ways you can think of to do that?
High-vis jackets.
High-vis is the easy way, isn't it? Chuck on a nice high-vis vest, brilliant. Anything else?
No, that's fine. Other than high-vis, you've got like coloured stuff.
Yeah, so any kind of colours or bright colours on your clothing, or even your bike. Keep your bike clean. Use the colours of your bike. Yeah, exactly. Any clothing yet? You can get things like the Sam Brown belts. With the high-vis belts that people wear. But the main one is high-vis. Bright clothing, bright helmet, okay, road positioning, okay, so thinking about where you are in the road or your lane, okay, and making sure you're positioned in the best way that A, you can see what's going on and other people can see you. You've probably seen like the stickers on the back of lorries that say, if you can't see my mirrors, I can't see you, that sort of stuff. So your lane discipline and your road positioning plays a big part in making sure that you are seen. Again, I'll be helping you with this when we're out on the road. Another way it'll help is keeping your headlights on. Okay, most modern bikes now, you don't get a choice, they're on all the time, but if you're riding a slightly older machine, then yeah, get your headlight on day or night. Things to avoid, is dull clothing, okay, or riding in people's blind spots, that sort of stuff. Excellent. So number two is the importance of knowing the legal requirements. So right now, if you want to ride your Tempest or whatever you end up with on the road tonight, tomorrow, okay, there are 7 legal requirements. Any ideas?
Driving licence.
Driving licence, provisional or car, yeah.
Insurance.
Insurance. Tax. So an MOT if it's applicable, depending on how new the vehicle is, yeah.
No.
A CBT certificate.
No,
so you've got to have a CBT. You've got to be wearing a helmet. Okay, as we discussed earlier on, and the final one is L plates. Okay, so you've got to have L plates displayed front and rear. Okay, are you happy with things like the different types of insurance? Like third party, fire and theft, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Any other questions about any kind of legal issues that you've come across? There is one more thing that isn't on this list, which obviously should be, and that is not to be drunk, of course, below the legal limit. Number 3 is, why as a motorcyclist are we more vulnerable? Okay, there is no getting away from it. We are a lot more vulnerable than the average road user out there. For us, it's a lack of metal cage filled with airbags, crumple zones, seat belts. Okay, what I would say to you is, yes, be very aware of that. Okay, and be very aware of the limitations of your bones. Okay, but isn't that kind of the fun of being on a bike? Is that we're not in this big cage. So yes, be very aware of it. Obviously you want to avoid putting yourself into positions where you are vulnerable, but ultimately don't let it ruin the fun, because that's why we're on bikes. Someone said to me years ago that when you're driving along in a car, you're looking at your windscreen, it's like playing a video game. Okay, you're seeing it all through your screen. When you get on a bike, you're in the game. Okay, and that's probably the best way I've heard it described. Exactly. Number 4, driving at the correct speed. Okay, so you're a road user already. You're happy with all your speed limits, your 30s, your 40s, your national speed limit, 60 on singles, 70 on duals. Okay, and obviously these are all maximum speed limits. We can choose to go slower, and sometimes it would be appropriate and a lot safer for us to go slow. Okay, there are also occasions when I would say that going too slow could also be just as dangerous. Okay, so again, we'll be checking all this when we're out on the road. Number 5, the biggie. The importance of knowing the highway code. Okay, now be honest with me, how's your highway code knowledge?
Test me.
Test you. So if you've got a circular sign, what does that mean? What is it?
So no, probably not.
So a circular sign normally gives an order, so your speed limits, things like that.
Yeah.
Okay, triangular sign? Warning sign, yeah. So it could be things like horses or anything that you're approaching. Yeah, that's a big triangular sign. What about sort of rectangular signs?
Isn't that like they recommended?
So information mainly. So yeah, information about what's going on. I'm not going to test you anymore. Okay, you're a road user already. So at this level, all we ask is that you have a good working knowledge. Okay, if there's anything that you find you're struggling with, break out the book, okay, get an app on your phone, okay. There are plenty of reading materials out there and apps that you can get from the Driver and Vehicle Standards Agency, okay, and other sources, and just brush up on your highway code. Ultimately, if you do decide to take this further, which I know you've expressed an interest in doing, you're going to have to take a theory test, so you will end up practicing, I'm sure, and just double checking. Number 6 is ride defensively and trying to anticipate other road users. Now again, you're already a road user, you've probably got a bit of this going on already. Riding defensive, you know, planning ahead, you're looking ahead, you're concentrating at all times, okay, making sure you know what you're doing gives you a bit more time to worry about what other people are doing as well, okay. Try to anticipate other road users. Unfortunately for us, sometimes it can feel like it's impossible, yeah. The best advice I can give you, you probably heard this from every biker under the sun, is assume that they're all out to kill you, okay. And that sounds a bit drastic, okay, but if you just go with the assumption that they haven't seen you, then deal with it accordingly, okay. You've got a fighting chance. If you see the whites of someone's eyes, chances are then they've seen you, okay. But please never assume that a car driver, a lorry, van, whatever, has seen you, especially when you're approaching junctions and things like that, okay. So hopefully you'll be using your headlights are on, your lane discipline, all that sort of stuff to help people to see you. But if in doubt, roll off the throttle, slow down, make that situation safe, and then yeah, develop this sort of hazard awareness, okay, which you've probably seen as part of the theory test. Yeah. Number 7, the use of your rear observations. So we spoke about mirror checks. So we're just doing them regularly, just periodically, just having awareness of what's going on around us. We talked about our shoulder checks whenever we pull away from the side of the road, so stationary shoulder checks, and those all important lifesavers. Okay, we're going to be all over lifesavers on the road. Okay, we need to make sure they're spot on. Okay, what I would say when it comes to observations is make the time for observations. There's no point piling at something, I don't know, like a parked car, thinking, right, I've got to do a lifesaver, trying to throw in a lifesaver last minute, because although you've done it, are you actually going to have time to react to what you see? Okay, so slow it down, make the time for your observations. And the problem with lifesavers in particular is you might do hundreds and hundreds of these and there's never anything there. But the day you don't, I guarantee you there'll be a car there. So yeah, so get as many of these lifesavers in, or all the observations in, as you safely can, but please don't lose track of what's happening in front of you. All right. Assuming the correct road position. So where would our sort of safest road position be normally? In the middle of our lane, yeah, that's it. So that's giving us the best escape left or right, any problems or anything like that, and also allowing us to move for our turns. Reasons why you might deviate from that central position.
You're behind that lorry, like you said.
Yeah, yeah.
There's a caravan or something bigger in front of you, so that you can see around. Potentially something happening in the future in the distance, or secondly, they're braking.
Yeah, yeah.
And they can see you if they're wanting to make a turn or something.
Yeah, any kind of larger vehicles, yeah, definitely, yeah. Even slower vehicles, mopeds and things, you might want to move over. Parked cars, let's just say there's a whole host of reasons why you might not be in the centre of your lane all the time, okay. The correct road position is the safest road position at that time, and you will get better at picking out safe places to be. All right, I promise you. And I'll be helping you out with that. Obviously,
through the back roads, you might not be in the middle. You might be a little bit towards.
Exactly, yeah, because of gravel and things like that. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, again, I'll be helping you with that. But ultimately, you're a road user already. You can have experience of this without even realising it. But we'll double check this on the road. Number 9 just goes back to what you mentioned there: leaving sufficient space. Have you heard of the 2-second rule? No? So the rhyme is only a fool breaks the 2-second rule. It's all to do with stopping distances and how close you are to the vehicles. And if the weather's poor, make it 4. Okay, so master 2 seconds in the dry, 4 seconds in the wet. And if you want to try and figure out what it is, you're riding along the road, car in front of you is driving along. When they pass a stationary object like a lamppost or a parked car, it should take you 2 or 4 seconds to get to the same lamppost or parked car. If the conditions are particularly bad, icy even, 10 seconds, yeah. I mean, I would question as to whether you should even be out there personally, but 10 seconds if the conditions are particularly slippery. Also, stopping in traffic. So pulling up behind the vehicles that are in a queue of traffic or are stopped at a traffic light. Again, we're leaving a good vehicle's length between you and the car in front, just in case you jolt forward or they roll back even, okay. Making sure we're not riding on people's bumpers, basically. Again, with that in mind, as we approach vehicles that are stopped at traffic lights and things, if we can roll off nice and early, just make the whole thing smooth. Okay, especially today, it's been raining, the conditions aren't great, so the smoother we can be, you never know, it might go green and you might be able to carry on and making some progress without stopping. All right. Number 10 is pay due regard to the effects of the weather. So today is a good example of it. Okay, it should be lovely and sunny today. Sadly, it isn't. So we've took appropriate action for that, in that we've got wet weather kit on. Okay, we as bikers, we always dwell on the bad weather because it ruins the fun for us. Let's be honest. You know, we're soaked through, we're miserable, we're cold, we're wet, and it's rubbish. It also makes the conditions slippery, so it affects not only you, but it affects the bike. You know, it just doesn't become a nice, enjoyable ride. Okay, as I said, the key to wet weather riding is smoothness. Okay, which we'll talk about on the road. But also, if you think about, you know, baking hot sunshine, it can go the same way, really. If you're sat in the middle of a traffic jam with all your kit on, head to toe, dressed in motorcycle kit, sweating like crazy, again, it's going to begin to affect you, isn't it? And you're going to sort of rush to get home, maybe to get all your kit off. So just be aware of how the weather affects you, how it affects the bike. Respect the weather is probably the best way to describe it. And if in doubt, don't set out. Cool. Number 11 is the effects of the road surface. So you mentioned it a minute ago as well about country lanes and things. So around town, the tarmac's pretty good. Okay, we're okay. We can use most of the road. We've got to avoid things if we can, obviously, like potholes and stuff like that. But generally, the conditions are good. Head out into the country lanes, we've got to deal with mud, gravel, potholes. You know, just the general state of our roads. Okay. Tram lines, railway lines around town as well. Drain covers on a day like today where it's been raining, you've got drain covers to deal with. White lines, yellow lines, they're all going to potentially be slippery today. And any kind of rainbow colourings that you can see, oil spills and diesel spills. What I would say to you is safely try and avoid these things if you can. It's inevitable at some point that you're going to have to ride over something that's less than ideal. Okay. Again, keenness, I keep saying this, is smoothness. Okay, keep yourself fairly upright. As long as you don't make any harsh movements like accelerating harshly or steering or braking, you should 9.5 times out of 10 roll straight through it. Okay, look for the signs. You know, if you're in the countryside, it's going to be mud and leaves and things, isn't it? If you're in town, it's going to be things like potholes, or if it's like it is here, there's lots of building work going on. So there's cones everywhere. There's building materials possibly and things all flying all over the place. Roadwork signs, anything like that. Yeah, just be aware of what you're riding on. Okay, it's probably the best way to describe it. Again, we'll help you out with this on the road. The dangers of drugs and alcohol is next. Okay. You're a road user, you know the law, I'm sure, regarding drink driving. Okay, so as much as we can sort of laugh it off because it's not really very funny, but just don't drink and drive. It's quite simple. There is obviously a limit that's allowed to be, but what I would say is on a motorcycle, you know, we need to be on it 100% of the time, and yeah, just don't risk it. As well as obviously drink and illegal drugs, they're also probably talking about things like hay fever remedies. If these things affect you, make you drowsy, okay, again, should you be riding your bike? Just think about that. Number 13 is the consequences of aggressive attitudes when riding. Yeah, you know, when somebody upsets you, puts your life in danger or whatever, or it gets a bit out of hand on the road, okay, and the red mist of rage sets in, okay, that's when you're going to make a bad decision, okay, and that's when you'll come off, like you just said. That's when it goes wrong, okay. I know it's easy to sit here and say, be patient, be calm, you know, it's a lot harder to do out on the road than sat here. But please be calm, be patient, okay, and just keep yourself safe, okay. It also goes for use of the control, so don't be using the horn aggressively and things like that. Number 14 is your hazard perception. So you did this as part of your theory test for your car. So they play the video clips, don't they, and you sort of click when you see things happening. So rather than clicking a mouse, we're going to do it for real this time, okay. Yeah. So we're driving down the road, you know, you see a child running down the pavement, you think, oh, that's a potential hazard right there. So I'm just going to roll off a little bit. Nothing comes of it, fantastic. Back on the throttle, away we go. If that potential hazard becomes an actual hazard, I don't know, the child trips up, rolls out into the road, you're going to perform your emergency stop, okay? So you're dealing with potential hazards, you're dealing with actual hazards, and as you well know as a road user already, anything could potentially turn into a hazard pretty quickly. So it's a skill that you will get better and better and better at. The fact that you're on the road already gives you a massive head start. But yeah, deal with what you see. and then get on with it. I know that sounds daft, but a lot of people sort of fixate, oh, that dog just bang, you've hit something else. You know, I've dealt with the dog or the child or whatever else it was, I've moved on and I'm concentrating on my riding. All right, fantastic. And then finally, roundabouts. So, done a few roundabouts in your car by now, I'm sure. Just to double check. So as you approach the roundabout, we're slowing down on the approach. Okay, we want to be in nothing more than second gear. Okay, so nice and steady on the approach. So let's say we're coming up to the roundabout at this point here. Okay, so as we approach the roundabout, you'll hear me say at the roundabout, take the first exit. Okay, so just like you would in your car, you're going to check your mirrors. Okay, you're going to slow it down. You're going to get yourself into the correct lane. Okay, there's normally road markings. Unfortunately, a lot of the roundabouts here at the moment are dug up, so we'll go with whatever they're telling us at that particular time. So the road markings or any kind of markings or instructions around override everything you think you know. Okay, there is the default, isn't there, with the 12 o'clock round to 6 o'clock is right lane, 6 o'clock round to 12 is left lane, but any kind of markings or otherwise would overtake that. Okay, so first exit, as you approach, left indicators on, you're checking the roundabout on the approach, and if you can, crack on. You know, if it's clear, fantastic, crack on round, exit the roundabout, indicator off, be on your way. All right, if it's not, come to a stop, give way to the right, as you know, and away we go. If we're taking the second exit straight ahead, so I'll say to you, take the second exit straight ahead. We haven't got a straight ahead indicator, as you know from your car, so we don't indicate. We approach in the correct lane. Now normally it's left hand lane. What I would say to you is please remember it's a roundabout, not a straight about. Okay, so we need to commit to that sort of round part of the roundabout. Okay, now as you exit the roundabout, this is where it gets a bit more complicated. So like you would in your car, do you indicate as you come off the roundabout in your car? Yeah. Excellent. We'll keep doing that, because a lot of people don't. I would do a lifesaver. So as you're coming around the roundabout, you flick that indicator on to tell everybody else that you're coming off. Okay, but what way is your lifesaver going to be? Left. See, it would normally be to the left, wouldn't it? Because you're going to go left. Okay, but this time, we want to do a right lifesaver. We want to make sure that there's nobody straight line in the roundabout coming up on our right hand side. Okay, it is different on every roundabout depending on the lanes and the layout. Okay, but 9 times out of 10 you want to look at the other lane. Okay, it's pointless looking at the curb because there won't be anybody there. You're in your lane. It's the other lanes you need to worry about. If you've got multiple lanes, I certainly have no problem with you throwing in 2. All right, third exit and fourth exit to the right, they're all the same. Okay, so we would approach the roundabout, get into the right hand lane, okay, or follow the right arrows. Okay, we're indicating right. This time we're entering into this sort of inner lane, as it were, or whichever lane is appropriate for that particular roundabout. And when you come off that roundabout, what lifesaver we're going to do this time? It would be left. Yeah, you're quite right. Exactly. So we're going to indicate off the roundabout and get a left lifesaver in. Just take your time with roundabouts, okay? I'm sure you do in your car anyway. Exactly, I'm sure you would in your car anyway, but just take your time, slow it down, second gear. If you go piling into a roundabout too quick, you'll be over the other side in the flower beds before you've got round, all right? Try to avoid coming to a grinding halt, okay? If you do see something, okay, roll off, slow down, okay? If the traffic is queuing, you've got no choice other than to stop. But if you come to a grinding halt halfway around a roundabout, the car behind you probably won't. Okay, so like you just said, if you see something you're not happy with, by all means go around again. Okay. Any questions at all about roundabouts?
No, I'm pretty,
Fantastic. There we go then. In that case, I think it's time that we get you mic'd up and let's get out on the road for element E. Fantastic.